Hi everyone! Today I'm returning to an artist which I have listened to once before, a composer. That is Elton John. And I guess the song I listened to was Come Down in Time. Well, today it is going to be Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is a ballad by Elton John and songwriter Bernie Taupin and performed by John. It is the title track on John's album of the same name, first released on the 5th of October 1973. The song has been widely praised by critics. Some consider it a strong contender for John's finest song ever. Okay. Rolling Stone listed the song at number 390 of its 500 greatest songs of all time in 2010. In 2018, The Guardian ranked the song number 6 on their list of the 500 greatest Elton John songs, and in 2022, Billboard ranked the song number 4 on their list of the 75 greatest Elton John songs. In the US, it was certified gold on the 4th of January 1974 and platinum on the 13th of September 1995 and 2 times platinum on the 2nd of March 2020 by the Recording Industry Association of America. Kind of a big one then.
When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land? I should have stayed on the phone. I should have listened to my own mind. You know you can't hold me forever. I didn't sign up with you. I'm not a present for your friends to open. This boy's too young to be singing. What do you think you'll do then? I bet they shoot down the plane. It'll take you a couple of hot urine tonics to set you on your feet again. Maybe you'll get a replacement. There's plenty like me to be found. Mongrels who ain't got a penny, sniffing for tidbits like you.
You know, I just recently listened to John Lennon's Watching the Wheels, and somehow this feels like a similar kind of song. It's the idea of, well, this is kind of the moment of decision, whereas John Lennon's was after the decision. This is saying, I've had enough of this hardscrabble way of living. I've had enough of whatever I'm committed to. I feel like I'm just part of the machine, and I need to go back to my roots. I need to go back to where I came from. This is set kind of in a rural setting, you know, the farm, the childhood farm. I'm going back to, what does it say? To my plow, to the old owl in the woods, hunting the horny-backed toad. But it's the same general expression of sentiment that John Lennon's song had, and that is that, you know, okay, success comes, and and that's all fine and good. But at some point, I lose myself. At some point, I become a tool for everybody else's ambitions, and I don't want that for myself. It's time for me to decide what I want for myself. And if that means not doing what I ended up doing, so be it. Let's separate the things that have come together and really decide where my path is going to be. That's what this feels like, is kind of as I said, the decision-making moment before John Lennon's song.
It's like you on the ground. So goodbye, yellow brick road, where the dogs of society howl. You can't plant me in your penthouse. I'm going back to my plow, back to the howling old out in the woods, cutting the hornback toad. Oh, I found that inside my future lies beyond the yellow brick road.
It has a nice swing, a nice feel of, okay, I feel like I've made my decision and I'm happy to go with this choice that I've made. There's this feeling of lack of stress, but I like, well, first of all, the melody writing is really great, isn't it? You hardly notice the melody simply because it works so well. It does its job. It stays out of the way, but it carries the music, and it has a couple special moments which really stood out to me. And this is one of them. When you can't plant me in your penthouse. Listen to what happens there.
Where the dogs of society howl. You can't plant me in your penthouse.
You can't plant me in your penthouse. So much of this has this downward and upward, kind of down the hill, coasting down, building momentum, and then coming back up, down and up, down and up, down and up. And so when we get to, you can't plant me in your penthouse, it's the opposite. It's going up, 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 up and over, and then down. And it feels like a declaration of freedom. You can't plant me in your penthouse. No, you can't, because, well, right after that, we go back to the downward swing, so we can notice it in contrast really nicely.
You can't plant me in your penthouse. I'm going back to my plow.
Here it comes.
Back to the howling old out in the woods.
Notice, it's the same pitch. You can't plant me in. Back to the howling old owl in the woods. So you can hear the contrast. One goes bum ba dum ba, the other goes dum ba da 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 dum, and you can feel that contrast really strongly here.
Back to the howling old out in the woods, cutting the hornback toad. Oh, I found it inside my future lies beyond the yellow brick road.
Beyond the yellow brick road. This piece is almost predictable. Almost. If it weren't for a couple little tweaks in the melody where our ears might expect something a little bit more formulaic, it would come across as being incredibly formulaic. But this is one of those moments where, well, what would we expect? Imagine because I just heard this for the first time, so I know where my ears imagined it would go. See if you can do the same with yourself, with this Beyond the Yellow Brick Road.
Oh, I found it inside my future lies beyond the yellow brick road.
Beyond the yellow brick road. What did I expect there? So much of this is so predictable. I expected beyond the yellow brick road. It's a small difference. Beyond the yellow brick road. That's what is there. Beyond the yellow brick road. Why? Well, it was kind of set up that way, wasn't it? Let's back up and hear the section one more time, because it's an interesting thing to notice how natural, how easy, how ordinarily this melody flows, and yet it's just a little tweak here or there. It sets up our expectations for one thing, and then we hear just a slight difference, not enough to throw us off or make us feel completely astonished. At the same time, it's enough that we don't feel like anybody could have written that. It's so predictable. It sounds, well, we could even say commercial, because there is a way of writing music which is so formulaic. There's a formula, you can follow it, you can basically learn to do the math, and you can turn out one tune after the next, after the next, after the next, and they're all fine, decent, nothing grand, nothing memorable. They do the job. This could have been one of those tunes very easily. But this is just an example of how it's has just enough special elements to keep it from being that. And yet it has this incredibly easy sound to it.
How you can't let me in your penthouse. I'm going back to my plow.
I'm going back to my plow. That is our setup. I'm going back to my plow. Da-da-dum-bum. Remember that. Back to my plow. Remember that as we keep going.
Back to the house out in the woods, cutting the honey back toe. Oh, I found it inside my future lies beyond the yellow brick road.
You see, I expected to hear, again, yellow brick road, just like back to my plow. But not quite.
Beyond the yellow brick road.
Beyond the yellow brick road. Kind of reversed, isn't it? And it's just enough to keep it fresh. Each line is somehow just turned enough that we can still follow it easily, but it's not what we heard before, quite. And that is what makes this so incredibly satisfying, easy, approachable, relatable, accessible, and yet it feels like more than just another commercial piece churned out. Well, it has to be if it's going to be Elton John's one of his greatest pieces. And that's it. It really carries us along nicely, doesn't it? You know what I find most amazing about this piece of music? Is that it was written, what was it? It was released back in 1973? 1973. And somehow when I listen to this, it sounds like it could have been written, I don't know, 2019. There's a sort of timeless quality to it that doesn't place it to me in any specific era, any specific, well, other than, all right, I can't say it would have been 1907, no. But 1973, 1993, 2013, 2017. I would not be shocked if I found any of those dates for this song. It's that, I guess, if I were going to sum it up in one word, I would say natural. Natural. It has such a natural feel, a natural sound, that it belongs anywhere, anytime, anywhere. And the way the sentiments are expressed, too, are very natural. He's taking us back to our native place, our origins, which are very natural, earthy. The farm, the plow, the handling the ground, roaming the forest, out late at night so that we can hear the owl. And even this, back to the howling old owl in the woods. I mean, you could say back to the great horned owl in the woods, or back to the call of the old owl in the woods. You could do something, but the howling old owl. Who thinks of an owl as howling? You might say howling dog, you might say a hooting owl, but howling owl, it brings a sort of passion and kind of a child's wonder, a child's, I don't know, I mean, I know how it was when I was a child. To hear an owl, if you're outside at night, it makes you shiver. It's almost scary, this big sound coming through the woods, and it's dark and it's mysterious, and you know it's an owl, but it makes you want to run for cover anyway. And so it brings up these experiences of the lives we grew up with, the things that shaped us and made us who we are. And, well, it's helping us return to our roots. It's, whoever's singing this is saying, I've chosen to return to my roots. Well, of course it's Elton John, but what I mean is, it could be any voice. And it could be any person. It could be you, it could be me, it could be anyone at that moment in their life where they decide, I've lost my bearings. I've somehow become somebody else's tool. It's time for me to go back to who I am. And that is why it feels like the perfect pairing with John Lennon's, what is it? The wheels go round. No, Vladis. Watching the wheels. I'm telling you, you go watch that review. You'll see how I brought up the wheels on the bus go round and round at the last minute. And ever since then, it has stuck in my mind, and I'm battling the title. It's John Lennon. It's not the wheels on the bus go round and round, but it has something to do with the wheels, and it has something to do with turning, and... Okay, I digress. Anyway, there is a common message between these two. By two very well-known, very successful musicians who, I suppose, each had their moment of decision. We all do. And I love that this speaks so naturally to each of us. So, that was Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And it turns out that Yellow Brick Road isn't a place of, well, it isn't home. It's the place where we need to leave to go home. I'll see you soon.